Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. This is a pleasure. So Chief Adjuah is a sonic architect, trumpeter, multi-instrumentalist, composer, producer, designer of innovative technologies and musical instruments. He's received 2 Edison Awards, 6 Grammy Award nominations, and a Doris Duke Artist Award. He's the progenitor of stretch music, a jazz-rooted, genre-blind musical form that attempts to stretch jazz's rhythmic, melodic, and harmonic conventions to encompass multiple musical forms, languages, and cultures. Okay. An artist who has built an independent economic infrastructure around his creative work, record label, app company, instrument design, brand partnerships, while remaining rooted in community and cultural identity, a living case study in artist-owned creative economy.
Thank you.
So we'll go into some of the questions that we had prepared here. So you've built a career that crosses genres, disciplines, and industries. How have you navigated the tension between artistic freedom and economic sustainability throughout your career?
The tension between artistic freedom and economic sustainability.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we navigate that through redefining. I have a couple notes here. I want to make sure to get to some points for that, but redefining the musical and business models of the industry to fit our cultural needs. I come from a very specific cultural background in New Orleans, Louisiana. The reason, you hear people saying chief is because I lead a Maroon Nation in Louisiana. And, being in that position, there are certain lines you can't cross, right? Because you have to also be models for the next generation. And so there's certain things, you're not going to see me on a record cursing or with no clothes on, these kinds of things. So yeah, I mean, I think just to really deal in my notes, I want to make sure you guys get all of this. But, we wanted it to fit those needs, our creative needs, rather than compromising the voice to fit corporate viability.
And I'm happy to have you if you want to make.
No, it's not something I can read straight, but it's just little bullet points just to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than moving in the direction of corporate viability, we chose to try and create systems that allowed us to build sustainable business models, right? When you're younger and you're developing art, so much of it is about you trying to figure out what your voice is and what you want to say and all of these things. I was really fortunate to grow up in an ecosystem that not only had these tribal spaces, but that also is the birthplace of where the music came from. So I was able to apprentice with master level practitioners as a very young teenager. So by the time I'm 15 or 16 years old, I can write a song the same way you can write a letter. So this gave me a lot of time to focus and to concentrate on the other things that needed to be built. Part of that was building stretch music, as you spoke to. Building infrastructure is a part of the modeling that we're speaking to. We have a record label and an app company called Stretch Music, but Stretch Music primarily starts as our approach to playing the music, right? We've built a form or a process in playing music where we are essentially proponents of genre blindness. So traditionally in creative improvised music, it's like if you go to hear jazz, it sounds like jazz. For our generation, if you go to a jazz festival, you don't know what kind of music you're going to hear, right? Well, this is a byproduct of us stretching the music, right? To say that seemingly disparate cultural groups have the ability to marry each other musically, and thus what does that say about their capacity to be fully human in terms of their interactions and how they comport themselves, right? So the first component of building that infrastructure was actually building the sound. So it was an artistic sort of block at its foundation. And then I would say from that, developing the ability to use that artistic conduit to shape a business entity and a reality that felt more like a band, which is a space where, maybe not in like your normative rock and roll movies, but in real life, it's usually a familiar family-based energy. And so at Stretch Music, everyone that signs to our label owns their records. Everyone that signs to the label also builds an app. That record label is really more of an app company. So I don't mean to get granular here, but I know they're rushing me, and I'm trying to make sure you get all of this information.
No, we want to hear it. We want to hear it.
So in 2014, we created the Stretch Music app, which is the first interactive media player of its kind, and it's actually the world's first STEM player. And this app allowed you to be able to customize your listening experience by soloing any channel, muting any channel, moving them from left to right. You have the ability to slow a song down, any instrument down, speed it up. It comes with sheet music for all of the parts. So imagine having the ability to customize any record that you like. Oh, you like the Cyndi Lauper record, but you hate the bass line, mute. Right? You would like to hear it faster, speed it up, right? So it allows you to do everything that you could conjecture, sort of you would guess you would want to do with the record. The only thing that you can't do is write a file into it for obvious reasons, right? So we created this in 2014, and it works on a lot of different levels. The reason that the app was so important to us to build is because I could sense that there was going to be a new technology that would show up that would figure out a way to dispossess musicians. This came from my beginning I know you haven't asked any more questions. I'm still on the first question.
This is great.
Okay.
I've got a bunch more questions.
Okay, good.
Now.
Okay.
Go
So in the beginning of my career, when I first started, this is brick and mortar shops. The download only platform does not exist yet. That's like iTunes and Napster and all this stuff. During that time period, there were models that were used to be able to force independent artists into major label systems, right? Like they would buy all of your records off of shelves and send you all your records back, so you couldn't actually participate at all, and then you would probably sign a major label deal because you can't actually consign any records anywhere, right? Like these kinds of things. So when I entered into music, and I graduated from Berkeley in 2003, this was what was going, in the bean for sure. This was what was going on, and it happened to me. And once I signed my deal to Universal, I made 10 records for them at the beginning of my career. The plan was always to emancipate myself and to figure out a way to be able to build a model so that musicians could have equity. But that came from the fact that I started my own record label as a 17-year-old, put my own record out, ended up on the cover of Billboard magazine twice with an independent record, and then ended up being homeless because all the labels bought my records off the shelves. So something told me there's going to be another version of this that's going to be worse, right? Because you no longer had the ability to go to the brick and mortar store and also put your finger in the chest of the person that consigned the records. Everything is digital, right? So it's like, for lack of a better way of putting it, like if you're online talking shit, you can do that all day because there's no one, who's going to stop you, right? So the music industry turned into that, right? There's no way to stop these folks. So it's like, okay, well, we have to build another model. Luckily for us, the model actually ended up being a superior solution to records. When you play with the Stretch Music app, what it has the ability and the capacity to do is going to beat the hell out of any record you have, because you can make the record your own record. It can get in your heart in a completely different way if you can customize the experience. So I'm saying all that to say that when dealing with the sort of tension between your artistic freedom and the economic sort of sustainability that we're speaking to, what I have found works the best is to try and build as many new models and systems as possible. We have a tendency, because of, when we're growing up and learning to do things, more often than not, if you're being guided into something, that is happening by an elder, a person that has been around before you. So the normative way of approaching that is to give you things and impart things to you that come from their experiences. Well, that is really great, but that doesn't mean that those experiences have to dominate what you're creating. Right? You can take those things and you can put it into the fire, like just to give an example. Even in terms of the musical instruments that we create, and we can talk more about that if you have a question that leads into it, but all of those instruments are created from 2 millennia old African systems of retention that were maintained as the skeleton keys of what you would now call jazz and blues in Louisiana and maroon spaces, right? So one of the instruments hybridizes 3 different cultures of West African double-sided harps that the chieftain would have sang in spaces where they liberated themselves. I could say, yes, I could just play the Ngoni and work as a griot and tell the stories in my community as I have done. But it's very difficult to inspire the 7-year-old to the possibility agent for that to turn on if I don't give them other systems to look at, even a visual corollary. So we created the bow, which looks like, futuristic harp, 21st century harp. When these kids see it, they freak out because it's also not their grandfather's instrument. It's something that's being made to give to them to be able to create. I'm only priming the canvas. So I'm saying all of these things to say that, like, the way that we interact with most of the things that we express and create, the dominant thing driving our vision is usually the predecessorial thing, what the predecessor did. And I think it is a time period where maybe we need to tap into that inner child that says, yeah, I can be a musician, but labeling me that would be grossly, that's out of bounds to me. It's only one thing. I'm doing 20 different things. And I think most adults are doing 20, 40 different things. So I think rather than putting those boxes on ourselves, I think expanding, making sure that you fill yourself with the right types of curriculums that are going to help you when you're engaging with those systems, that's actually paramountly important. But never accepting the thing that says that you have to fit in the box of any model. I can tell you I've watched artists that have #1 hits, drives a Bentley and all of the different things, and once something shakes out or the person actually reads the contract, they become persona non grata, and now they're ineligible for those assets and they didn't own anything. And now this person has to pass a hat around to be able to be in a Corolla, as an example. I've seen these things with my eyes on multiple times. I told you myself I've been homeless because of the industry. So the things that are being marketed and branded and projected to you, those systems are usually benefiting everyone but the artist. So if you're going to spend the time anyway and you're going to potentially, and it's not something that you want for anyone, but if there's the potential that you may suffer through some of those things, my feeling has always been that finding community and people that are like-minded and have synergy is paramountly important, but also being brave enough to actually brave it. I guess is in a nutshell, you have to be brave.
You have to be brave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Something that I just heard that I think is fascinating is that first you were on sort of the vanguard of artist ownership and understanding the importance of that, but that you also understood. Yeah, right. Yes. And then also understood that the direct relationship with the audience, with the listeners, with the fans, was also part of artist ownership, that it goes beyond just the ownership of the art that you create, but it also is about owning the relationship, right? Owning the relationship.
That's everything. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
But I'm excited.
Okay.
No, that's everything. We have so many young and developing artists that, it's like we get submissions to the label and the app company daily. And they're trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong? I went to Berkeley and I graduated at the top of my class. I know all my scales, these kinds of things. And it's disheartening to have to tell this person that those things don't really matter in terms of your ability to really interact with what the business is doing. That sucks from an artistic standpoint in terms of being gainfully employed. If you can play the Haydn or Hummel trumpet concerto and the blues, you will have more chances of working. Yeah. But the work versus making records and having artistic ownership and touring, all of those things are different, right? Yeah. So owning the relationship is the thing that I have seen actually change most of our reality, and I'm glad that you brought that up. I mean, I mentioned it, but it's like, I get granular and start talking about the creation of instruments and all these things. But really, it's really that. When we're 17, 18, 19 years old, we are compiling email lists, and every bar and grill, barbecue, gas station we're playing at, Doesn't matter. Yes, I say a gas station.
Yep.
And I played at gas stations with people showing up on horseback.
You go to the you go
Just
to where
saying,
the people are.
you know, it's like we're playing a phone booth. It's about getting to the people, right? But so, you know, I've had years of my life where I'm in a hotel every day, you know, no home. I'm playing every night and all of these things. But we're compiling those lists. Every day we're asking for people's, you know, I'm the guy, if I meet you, I'm like, what's your number? You know, this kind of thing. Or what's your email? Over time, that stuff grows. So when I'm with Universal Music at the end of my contract and they're saying, well, this is what we can do and this is what the numbers are going to be and this is what we think it is based on their P&Ling, I have a completely different system of that. They didn't get me on Billboard magazine's cover. I did that.
Right.
I had that contact.
Yeah.
So I learned the utility in networking. I learned the utility in holding on to those things because also systems change. Just to bookend it. You know, I had a MySpace page that had like 7 million people on it. Then no one went to MySpace. Right? And I'm just saying that happened, right? So that was a lesson to not to invest in those particular corridors of exchange,
Right.
to build your own, to owning your own, right? So now, you know, it's like we have our email list and all of the different things that Stretch Music, but I have a new artist come and drop out. Maybe they've never played a tour or any of those things. I can service that name and that brand and that music to over 17 million people between the networks that we build, our email list and also our partnership with Louis Marks and Rope-A-Dope, right? So, and his system is essentially the same. This guy has been compiling people's addresses and Rolodex for Rope-A-Dope records since the 1970s.
Yes.
So yeah, it's owning that.
It's owning that.
Yes,
and
it is.
and it sounds to me too like the extra layer that you've added is in enabling the audience to sort of engage with the app and do their own sort of creations, that you're turning them into musicians as well.
Absolutely.
Right? So you're bringing it the whole circle together.
And for musicians, it allows them to practice. They can customize their practicing experience, you know, through isolation of the channels and all of these different things. So the app works as a secondary asset. So when I make a record, if I make an app, now that recorded asset is 2 assets, right? And it works as a direct to fan, as you're mentioning, right? You can't beat that. In the short term, the hope is that everyone will have them and that everyone can give listeners those experiences, because I can tell you from when people come to our shows, no matter where we are in the world, the app gets in their heart differently than a record does.
Yeah.
It's not just customizing the experience. You get to play me. You get to play God with our records, you know, and to be honest with you, from an audiophile standpoint, if I could get my hands on Miles Davis's Kind of Blue with my app, oh my God, I don't think you'd never see me again. You know? Yeah. So
Thank you so much.
Oh,
This was
thank
amazing.
you.
I am so grateful that we got to actually have this separate little chat.
me
This
too.
worked out great. Thank
Of
you.
course, yeah, me
Thank you all so much.
thank you.